Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We were positively into just an amazing week of great weather, a big horse race here in town this week. The Baltimore Orioles sitting high and feeling good. Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout in town, and all sorts of things happening. If you love the NBA, if you love the NHL, if you love the PGA Championship this weekend, and the beaches are about to open up, and people are about to spend. And I saw it over the weekend at Janet Jackson and the Orioles. This guy is headed to Oriole Park at Camden Yards. He's all Lamar'd up, and we talk all this football, but deep down, you know you got an orange heart, Leonard Raskin. Leonard Raskin joins us now from Raskin Global. We always said build it and they'll come. I've talked to you for years on the radio, Dennis for years, lots of people for years, sponsors, friends, phone callers, about like what it would look and feel like if we all wanted to come back and legitimately wanted to pay, wanted to make time to do that. You're there.
I'm here. Two reasons, both compelling to go down and see the orange carpet. One, obviously, Birds are playing good ball. Took 2 out of 3 from the dreaded Pirates over the weekend. Took 2 out of 3 from Tampa Bay. You can't do better now. I guess you could sweep them, but let's not kid ourselves. But 2 out of 3, you keep winning series, man. You're playing 667 ball. That's pretty good. So got to go see the boys play. I looked through the closet, found the Nick Markakis jersey.
All right.
That's the last I have. Dust that off. Haven't been to a game since pre-plague, since pre-COVID. So
wow. You haven't been to a game since like 19, huh?
Since 19. So the boys are playing good ball. And as you said, man, when they put a good product on the field, it's time to support them and go check them out. So I know people
just beating you up as a friend and a client about like not going much to the games or giving up on the team. You literally haven't gone in 4 years though.
I'll tell you, I've watched them.
Even I went on opening day, Leonard.
Right. No, I've watched them. I've tuned in. I love watching the games, but just haven't felt the urge to cruise downtown and Camden Yards and do all that. But the boys playing good ball.
Let me ask you this, because you're going to see Ohtani pitch on Monday night, and we'll get a full report, and who knows how I'm going to be at John Waite, full disclosure, at the Preakness Draw, because I love John Waite and the babies and all, and bad English. But for you and I, we've only done one thing socially this year, and we will be doing another thing in 2 weeks. The Mount Washington Pediatric Golf event is coming up in early June.
Yes, sir.
Want to give them some love on that first Monday of June. So Mike Bordick will be joining us on that day as well, as he did last week up at Adams Jeep on behalf of Chesapeake Feline Association. We adopted 3 cats that day, so it was a beautiful day up in Aberdeen. But for you and I, we got together a month ago. I would say quietly, because I wasn't posting. I don't think I posted anything. I took a funny picture of Mike Elias at the event, but Mike Elias came out and you allowed me to be your guest. And I want to thank Doug Strauss and, everybody that was out there. Bill Weedell, who was my guest on Friday from CFG Bank, was also there. There were only, 50 people there, maybe 60 people there. But Mike Elias came out. Was there anything that day, I'm just asking, that was in line with recruiting you? Or is it just that they're winning?
I heard some good things. Look, I heard him before, not in face-to-face, but on the air and other things, and I like what the man's saying. I like what he did with the rebuild, and I also like that at the beginning of this year, he didn't say we're still rebuilding and we got work to do. He said we're a playoff team. This team's going to win, and I like the spirit. I like the attitude. I like hearing that we're not about being okay. We were okay last year. We're about winning this year. And to date, they're playing 667 ball. And they're winning series and they're winning games and they're playing good teams. It's not like they're just beating the low-life teams, if you will, which they were for years. So it's good to see them winning. And I want to go down and support the team, see them winning. And I want to see Shohei on the hill. I think it's going to be great. See him and Trout. I've seen lots of great athletes in lots of sports. We've talked about that over the years, the opportunity to watch Ovechkin down with the Caps, and just it becomes so ordinary. But when you're here, but around the country, around the world, the dude is extraordinary. Seeing Michael Jordan in his prime, I will say this, never went to a golf tournament and saw Tiger Woods play live. So I didn't get to do that yet. Maybe I'll get a chance. Who knows? Haven't done it.
He was
But
at a
I'm about
congressional for years, right? I mean, it was
right,
available.
right,
It was
right.
available.
But I'm just saying I'm about seeing great
Greatness.
performers
Right.
at the top of their craft. And I think Ohtani and Trout, get a chance to go out and see them against the Birds. I'll be rooting for the Birds, obviously. Won't be rooting for them, but it'll be cool to see them. So I like getting the opportunity to see great players. And in all sports, I like to see the best. And it's really cool to have the opportunity to go check that out. So it's a combination of the O's winning, Ohtani coming. I'll throw on the orange, and we'll see what happens. It'll be a good night, hopefully a good night at the Yard.
You know what? I haven't promoted this much on the air, but I did a lot on social media over the weekend. If you follow me, I saw greatness. I stumbled into greatness on Wednesday night. I went down to Anthem to see Seal, and I
Yeah,
walked in and I saw one of the greatest performances I've ever seen in my life.
that's wild.
And
That's
and
wild.
like at this point in the game, to go and see like Friday night, Luke went to the ballpark, and all of a sudden Cedric Mullins is doing what Cedric Mullins does, right?
Absolutely.
And you
I
see
was at
something
6.
special.
I was at 6 at the Hippodrome.
Oh, so my son went to 6 on Sunday. How
There
was it?
you
Was
go.
that
It
something
was it
special?
was outstanding. It was an outstanding show. The performance was fabulous. The Hippodrome was packed. Place was going wild. The ladies were singing their hearts out. It was excellent.
Hey, man, let's talk about this a little bit because I had Bill Weedell on Friday over at
Yeah,
State Fair. He runs CFG Bank and they sponsored the arena. I then
right.
went to see Janet Jackson Saturday night. I wanted to see Anita Baker Sunday. Anita Baker was the hardest, most expensive concert ticket in the history of Baltimore
Wow.
concerts. It was Mother's
Wow.
Day. It was impossible,
How about
impossible
that?
to get an Anita Baker ticket. I'm being really honest with you
Yeah, I
because I
get it.
looked and I was going to run down there. But so for the week and the weekend and Preakness and Janet Jackson sold out. Anita Baker sold out. Not
Yep.
a little sold out. Not we're going to,
No.
have the upper deck be closed and none of that. But the Orioles 26,000 and 36,000 Mother's Day Preakness this week. Bruno Mars is in town this week, right? And I talked to Bill about the concert roster that if you put the CFG Bank concert roster, I'm talking Kiss,
Yep.
John
Yep.
Mayer, Stapleton, all of that against Madison Square Garden. What Baltimore has with a draw now and the
Yep.
baseball team, and you're going down Monday night. We got a horse race here happening. I am feeling I'm doing the crab races at Lexington Market Wednesday with our friends at Fadley's. Do you feel differently? I mean, you're going downtown tonight. Like you went downtown Friday night to see so people are
Well,
coming down again.
here's the thing. I think oh, absolutely, but I think the back end of that is you got to be able to not just go to the event. I think we got to turn the corner where, I went to the Hippodrome and I parked in the Hippodrome garage, walked into the show, went to the show, great show, got in the car, came home. Didn't go to dinner before, didn't hang
See,
out in
my
the
wife
city
and I do
after.
Little Italy, or we'll do something like that. Like I went to see
Yeah,
Janet Jackson, and I grabbed Chinese food at my
right.
favorite Chinese food place, Young's Carryout. I parked my car uptown where it was free, and I
Yep,
I I went to Mount Vernon Marketplace, and I had a beer at the local oyster,
yep.
before the show, and I walked so I did a little walking
Of
thing,
the city. Yeah.
and I walked
Yeah.
down Park Avenue where my mother took me to the White Rice Inn. And Park Avenue is, it's not a little rough.
Right.
But it's not threatening. It's just boarded up. I mean,
Right.
I didn't pass a human being, but I
Right. Well, the
thought
thing
about
is,
when my
that's the
mother
thing,
took me to
you
see
gotta
Stir Crazy at the movie theater down there, and we went to the White Rice Inn, and I thought to myself, I wish the White Rice Inn were here right now. I'd sell my soul for that.
there you go. And I think that's the bottom line is you gotta feel safe walking in the city. And sadly, with the news out there and the 500 kids by the harbor and whatever and shooting downtown and these other things, all the draw is fantastic. And it's all going to bring money to the city. It's all great. And it's all going to bring people back to the city. And that's great. But if you park in the arena, go to the show and leave, or park near Camden Yards, go to the game and leave, then that's not good enough, but it's getting there. Like you said, if we start seeing people in the bars, which they are down by the stadium, start seeing people pregame, postgame, hanging around, walking over to the
Well,
harbor,
it was a
which
different thing when Phillips had a piano bar and
absolutely,
Hooters, and
absolutely.
I mean, come on, man, I made my living there. I did the
No, I
show,
get it, but that's my
literally.
point. That
Yeah.
has to resurrect, and people, the next generation, not us old dudes, but our kids, and so on. They got to be willing to go down there and walk around and feel safe and resurrect the city. And Bill and the guys over at the arena are doing a great job to seed that.
They
Look, you
really
said,
are. I mean,
I mean, the
it's just
lineup,
beautiful seeing 12,000
120.
people with, phones out, singing Janet Jackson songs, shaking my ass.
Yeah,
It was just
120
fun.
shows there. They're booking 120 shows. They're going to rock, and that's going to draw. And if that draws, and then people come before, hang out after, and look, the arena's where the arena is. It ain't been a great part of town for a long time, but and the Hippodrome the same. But if they can draw, and then somehow, who bought Harbor Place? One of the developers, right? Bought Harbor Place. I
Yes.
can't remember his name, but he's planning to
David, go ahead. You
he's
give me the rest
he's
of it.
planning to renovate and resurrect the harbor. But man, I remember going to the harbor, and then you walk over to the Stouffer Hotel and do the 4 or 5 floors of shopping in the
David Bramble, by the way, I got his
David
last name.
Bramble.
There
That's
you go.
it.
Sorry about that.
And you do all the shopping over at Stouffer in the shopping area, and then you hang out at Harbor Place, and you sit out on the with the little amphitheater there, and see some show, and go to the aquarium. And when everybody's willing to do that again, and I don't see a lot of crowds down there. When I drive down on a beautiful spring afternoon, I expect that place to be packed, and you see like 10 people walking
Well,
around.
it's in transition. I don't think there's any
Right,
question. There
right.
is a
Like the
vision,
O's, like the
just like there was
O's.
a vision a year ago to say we're going to do this arena and we're going
That's
to
right.
bring people down, and Janet Jackson and Bruce Springsteen and the Eagles and John, they're all really going to come and play.
That's
All of
right.
that's real, and I love this Baltimore positive conversation. Leonard Raskin and I, sometimes we get together and talk about money. Sometimes we talk about business. A lot of times we're just talking about sports or the Ravens or Lamar Jackson or the Orioles or Shohei Ohtani or the horse race. I mean, you talk about potentiality for what the Preakness could be in our
Yep.
lifetime.
Yep.
And you grew up on the west side of town, and I grew up in a family we never went to the horse race, but my dad honored the Preakness. I mean, the Triple Crown was a thing in my neighborhood where
Yeah.
we all watched the race together. I didn't go to my first Preakness until I was old enough to drink beer at the Preakness, which
To
is
be
probably
in the
16 or
infield.
17. But even that has changed from Animal House into something that I've been to the last 6, 7 Preaknesses. The event has changed, and Bruno Mars will change it this weekend as well.
Yep. Yep.
But having big events and having big things, that the city can handle that. And maybe one day,
Absolutely.
as I would say to Steve Bisciotti, maybe one day we'll get that draft party here and have have that
Right.
kind of thing
Right.
here for the city.
Absolutely. And there's no reason not. And when they pull that off, and when they maybe get another MLB All-Star game, something like that was a long time ago. What was that, in the early 80s?
Well, look,
Or
Taylor
that was
Swift just did 4 nights up in Philly over the weekend, right?
right, right. And I know a
4
lot of
nights of
people
Taylor
that
Swift
drove
in
up
Baltimore
there.
would have been a big deal, right?
I know a lot of people drove up there to see that show, and each night people were up there just having a blast. So yeah, M&T, or she could rock M&T, I'm sure.
Of course she could. Absolutely, man.
And Billy Joel's coming back, right? To
Yeah,
to Camden Yards, to the
Right.
baseball stadium with Stevie Nicks. Stevie Nicks. That's a combination I didn't see coming.
It's 70s classic rock,
Right,
we all stick
right.
together. We're all in
We'll
it
be
together.
out there. We'll be out there for that. So another Camden Yards event attending.
Leonard Raskin is here. He is Raskin Global. I wear the shirt. You find him out at Baltimore Positive. Go to raskinglobal.com. You are doing a money thing this week, right? For
Yes.
business owners out there
Yes,
who want to
indeed.
exit. So if I want to sell my radio station, this is sell my business. This is the pathway. And
We'll be
Lord knows,
talking
for
about
20
it.
years, people have talked to me about buying or selling my radio station. And I think if I were interested in selling my business 10 years ago, probably would be different than selling it now, right?
Yeah, correct. And the biggest thing, one of the most important things people need to know about, whether it's a sale to an insider, a sale to employees to keep the company going with the employees, a sale to an outside third-party company that you may want to, that comes in with a big check, you got to prepare for that. It's not something that just steps up to your door, knocks, hello, I'm here, I'm ready to buy your company. You have to plan for it, A. B, you have to put your company in a position to be ready for the sale. C, you got to be mentally and emotionally ready to exit, whether that's because they take over and you're out, or they take over, you now work for them for a little bit of time and then transition out. Whatever it is, each of us are leaving our business at some point. The hope is we leave it vertically and it's a planned exit. Some people sadly leave their business horizontally, unplanned exits in a bad way, and the company's a mess, the family's a mess, things left behind are really terrible, businesses shut down, families get destroyed. So we have a webinar we're putting on Tuesday night, 6:30. You can get in touch with us at lraskin
Well, I haven't really thought about this.
raskinglobal.com.
Hold on a second here before we. So, like, I own a radio station, and I guess thinking about this out loud, I'm either going to die today or sometime in the future, and it's good. Somebody else is going to be stuck with it and have to figure out what to put on the radio.
Exactly.
I hope they don't do Baltimore negative. I hope they'll
right. Exactly.
I built a pretty good thing here, or I'm, I better have a plan for somebody to buy it, right? And so I'm either going to die with it, sell it, or it's going to go under. It's going to go out of business, right? Those are the options.
You can work till the day you choose to shut it down.
Right.
Yeah. So you can vertically work as long as you want and then say, I'm out, and it's done. Or somebody buys it, inside or outside, or you gone.
Well, you should always be working on somebody to buy it, right? Like you always
planning for. Look, the only thing you don't want to plan for the exit of when you start is marriage. Everything else in business, you buy a stock, you got to think about selling it. You buy a portfolio, you got to think about distribution, because someday you're going to need the money or use the money or want the money rather than for what it's sitting for some other purpose. When you own a business, the best day to think about leaving the business is the day you start the business. You structure the business in a way that it's owned and that it's controlled, and that over your lifetime it's structured so that when you sell it, you mitigate income tax. After you sell it, you generate massive revenue. And lastly,
and if you die with it, you protect your family.
You protect your family in such a way that they have either the money to go on if you didn't sell it, or to transfer the asset so that, again, the government doesn't take half of it in the form of estate taxes, inheritance taxes, probate fees, other costs. So you've got to structure it for exit when you start it and as you own it. And the best thing is the day you start it, you plan the exit. But the second best thing is, I would say 5 to 10 years before you're ready, you got to plan the exit. And in the crazy nonsense where somebody does knock on the door and offer you a check you just can't refuse, well then, okay, planning aside, you've gotten a big enough check that you can walk out and say, I'm not worried about it, it's okay. So all those things come to bear. You got to understand the taxes. You got to understand the ownership structure. You got to understand your opportunities to get out. And again, not pay the government too much of that money. State of Maryland, you end up with a potential income tax, capital gains tax. You're somewhere potentially in the 45, 48% income tax range. You work your whole life, you create an asset, and when you sell it, you get half and the government gets half. That's not a game we want our clients to play. So we got a webinar Tuesday night, the 16th. No, Monday's the 16th. Tuesday night, the 17th, 6:30. Got to get my times right. Yeah, because if it was
Tuesday's the 16th. Tuesday's the 16th.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Tuesday
all day long, my mom would say.
But here's the thing. If it was Monday night, I'd miss the webinar because I would be getting ready to watch Shohei Ohtani. So it's Tuesday night, definitely Tuesday night, 6:30. You can find us out at info@raskinglobal.com. If you want an invite, we'll make sure you get one. It'll be recorded, probably thrown up on our YouTube channel. You'll be able to see it there. So if you're a business owner and it's something you're thinking about now or in the future, or hadn't thought about, but think you need to think about it, these are the times and show. We talk about all the time that there are, in money and finance, there are the things and this isn't everything, but in money and finance, the things that makes up about 10% of your knowledge base. There are the things you don't know. Maybe that makes up another 10% of your lack of knowledge base. And then there's the things you don't know. And that's generally, for most people, 80% of the rest of the stuff. And so
because people like you were sitting around studying it all day.
That's right. That's right. And this is in the my things I know. And for a lot of business owners, it's in the I don't know.
Things I ain't never thought of.
That's right. When I meet people and I talk to them about an exit, They don't have any strategy at all.
They think horizontal when they think exit, right?
Well, no, people think
Well, when you
someday.
buy a radio station, you think you're gonna have to kill me to come get it, right?
Well,
I mean,
maybe, but
the
a
day
lot
you
of
buy
people,
it, you know.
a lot of people think, hey, some Mr. Big is going to come in with a big check and take me out. That's the dream. I build a big company and I get bought out by Microsoft, or I get bought out by Apple, or some Google comes along and takes me out. Whatever your business is, that the big public kahuna comes in and saves the day and gives you a big fat check. And that happens so rarely. And if it does, you probably built the business for 30 or 40 years. You've got it at a point where it's humming, where you don't need to be there even to run it. Look, when you're an entrepreneur and you're running your company and you're the C everything, COO, CEO, CFO, you got to be there. But when you got a company that you're running and you could take a few months off, take a nice vacation, come back and your business has grown, that's when you're the CEO and you know that your position at the company is unnecessary. That's when it's the most ready to sell. And once you've done that, that's when Mr. Big may come in, because there's a business there. There's not just a me running the shop and nobody can replace me. I mean, if you're not on the air, you're not on the air. If you got 6 guys on the air.
I've done it 3 different ways here, so I'm keenly aware.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So you got to find somebody to step in and say, I want to be on the air, because if you're not on the air, you're not on the air. And for me, if I'm not advising folks, I'm not advising folks. It's not like my assistants, who are great, are going to be advising folks the way I advise folks. So those are the variables you have to consider. And then you put all that together. You say, okay, I'm humming, and now I can exit. And dare I say that in our local sports, there's guys who have humming businesses, and if they wanted to sell them, they probably could. And although forced out of the picture, one last drip on sale, Sir Daniel Snyder, he just sold for $6.05 billion with
and he gets the
dollars.
last laugh as long as he doesn't go to prison.
Right. As long as he stays out of jail, and with $6 billion, I think he might.
Can you imagine those stakes? $6 billion or jail, right? Like,
he might get both. He might get both. But he'll find his way out of prison. You know that. He's got enough money to find the best lawyers and save the day, and he'll pay somebody off, because that's what rich people do. It's a drop in the bucket, because the 6.05, the 0.05 part, that's the part you use to stay safe.
That's 50 million. Yeah, I did the math on that.
That's what you use to be out of the headlines. And I don't know if he did anything illegal. I just know that the NFL decided they didn't want him in the ownership team anymore, and they got a new guy they like better.
Imagine how immoral you have to be to get kicked out of that club.
Hey, but here's the thing: you get kicked out of the club, but you get $6 billion on the way out. When we were growing up, my friend, there was this guy on TV. Remember the guy on TV, $6 million man?
Right.
He's a nothing.
Steve Austin.
He's a nothing. Right. He's a nothing next to this dude. We got the $6 billion.
He's not even the 0.5.
He's not even the 0.05.
He's not even the 0.005.
Right. He's nothing.
All right.
Nothing.
Well, Leonard will keep you square at Raskin Global. He's also out at the front of Baltimore Positive and in good spirits. Big week, man. Shohei Ohtani. We got the Preakness.
Absolutely.
We got things happening. Spring is sprung. The Orioles are happening. Things we went a whole segment and didn't mention Lamar. How about that?
And the beach is calling. The beach is calling.
Listen, I stopped late at night to urinate at the Joe Biden Plaza in Delaware. And I think of you somehow when I do this, because I go into Delaware, and I'm nowhere near your Delaware, which includes water, but I am coming to Dewey Beach to see Tommy Conwell in July. But go. Summer and the beach and 75. I mean, it wasn't. This is the best time of the year, and we don't have a plague going on anymore.
It's great. Preakness will be packed.
My back feels good. I'm
Life
ready
is
to go.
good.
All
Life
right.
is good, man.
Leonard Raskin talking Baltimore Positive thoughts here and getting downtown, not just once, but twice this week for Oriole Baseball and Hippodrome Broadway 6 action. You can find me up in Falston. I'm getting out of the county, going to the other county. We'll be in Harford County on Tuesday at the local award-winning fair. I've seen the pictures. I'm really looking forward to getting up there. We'll be at Falston on Tuesday from 2 until 5. It's all brought to you by the Maryland Lottery in conjunction with our friends at Window Nation. I am Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore Positive.